this is MJ, and in today's tutorial I'll be showing you how to make our Hello Pumpkin Mosaic Crochet hat. So I'll be showing you how to make our adult size today, but if you click through the link in the description box, the PDF pattern includes 8 sizes in total, going all the way down to our 0 to 3 month size. Hey, this is MJ, and in today's tutorial I'll be showing you how to make our Hello Pumpkin Mosaic Crochet hat. So our pattern includes 8 sizes in total, and if you click through the link in the description box, there'll be a link to get the pattern as well as the blog post. So it goes down all the way to this 0 to 3 month size, and the size that we'll be working on today is our adult size that will fit a 21 to 22 inch head size. This hat pattern uses comfy worsted weight yarn, and this was provided to me from We Crochet, and there will be a link in the description box on where you can purchase it. This is a 75% Pima cotton and 25% acrylic yarn. It's a worsted weight number 4, and I would say that it is on the lighter side of a worsted weight. So if you go with a heavy worsted weight, your gauge may be a little bit off. So you'll need 2 balls of color A and 1 ball of color B to make our adult size hat. So I've shown this with our Ivory as color A, but if you look at one of our baby sizes, you can see how it looks in using the copper as our color A instead. So the pattern, I don't know, for me anyways, the pattern looks a little bit different depending on which way you work the yarn, but both of them turn out really nice, so whatever you prefer is fine. And here is the comparison with the gray and white, using the gray as color A or the white as color A. You'll need 2 hook sizes for this pattern, so I'm using a 4.5 millimeter and I'm also using a 5 millimeter. So the 4.5 will be used for the band and the 5 for the mosaic pattern. These are streamline hooks from Mosaic Crochet, and this is the cafe and this is the cookie streamline. And there will be a link in the description box with a coupon code for purchasing the hooks. So let's start out with the ribbed band. We'll make a slip knot, and we're putting it on the smaller hook, which is our 4.5 millimeter. Now we'll chain out 21. And in the second chain from the hook, we'll work a single crochet and in every chain across. We'll chain 1 and turn, and now we'll be working single crochets into the back loop only. So check your stitch here. We're going through the back loop. So we'll be making a large rectangle for the band, and then we'll be seaming it together and then beginning to work the hat in the round. But the band is worked in rows, so we're making a large rectangle. We'll chain 1 and turn and work single crochets in the back loop. So we're just repeating row 2 throughout for the number of rows we need. So follow along with your pattern for the size you're working on and make the required number of rows. Okay, so I've worked a total of 72 rows for this size, and it is going to measure approximately 16.5, I would say, inches without stretching it. And now what we'll do is we're going to slip stitch the band together. Okay, so place your right sides together like this. And we're going to slip stitch through. Let's chain 1 to secure. We're going to go through the back loop and over to that starting chain. And we're going to slip stitch across. Okay, so going through the back loop of the next stitch and the next chain, and we're going to work just like this across. Okay, so you should have 20 slip stitches for this size. Okay, so I've slip stitched that all the way. Now, if you're trying it on your head or someone's head, you could try that band now just to see how that fits. And we're going to change over to our larger hook, so our 5mm crochet hook. And we'll chain 1. We're going to keep the band just like this because it will be folded over and that seam's just going to be invisible. So now the first round will actually be round 1 of the chart, and we're going to work around 1 single crochet per row. So we have 72 rows, we should have 72 stitches worked around. 1, 2, and I always find that the 1 row is a little thicker to work through, and then the next you'll just have that 1 loop to go down through. So just count as you work around to make sure that you have 72. Okay, so once we've worked all the way around, we're going to slip stitch into the back loop to join, but we're also going to be changing our color. So I'm going to be pulling in copper, which is our color B. So we're going to pull through with the new color and just make sure all of the tails are nice and tight. We'll chain 1, and row 2 will be worked all single crochets in the back loop only. Now, we're dropping off color A. We're going to pick it back up on the next round. So I'm not going to crochet over it. I will crochet over this other tail. So working round 2 single crochets in the back loop only. So once I get this worked around, we'll take a look at the chart and I will show you how to read it. Okay, so let's take a look at the chart. So we will be working an overlay mosaic pattern for the hat tutorial. It's a very easy mosaic crochet technique. I'll just explain how you read the chart, but I know you'll find this pretty easy to work once you understand it. So here are our colors over on this side. So we've already worked A. Now we worked that all in single crochets. We didn't do the back loop only because we needed to establish that first row. Row 2, we worked all in color B and we did single crochets in the back loop only. So whenever you see the blank box, that refers to a single crochet in the back loop only. When you see a box marked with an X, we'll be doing a drop down double crochet. So we actually are not changing color throughout a round. So when you see this color change, just ignore it. It actually is just showing you the pattern because when we work a drop down double crochet, we're going to put that stitch over top of that previous row, and that's what gives us this color change here. So you're not actually changing color throughout a row. You work each row in one color. We're picking up the next color on the join, so we're just carrying those ends up the join. So now we're reading this chart always from the right to the left for each row. Okay, so now this here, I've added some more things to this chart that might be helpful. So the repeat of our pattern is round 3 through 14. So that is when you get to round 14, you come back and you restart at round 3 and you work through that. Now the stitch pattern is worked in multiples of 4, and this is the multiple right here. So I could have just shown you just this part of the pattern, but I've sort of graphed it out just so you can see more. This, of course, is only 20, but the hat that I'm working on in the video, 72. So this would just keep repeating. But all you really need is these first 4 stitches to repeat this pattern. So this is the PDF here, the chart's included. I write out every row for you as well. I explain how to read the chart. So if you click through the link in the description box, you'll be able to click on the link to purchase the pattern and get a copy of the chart so that you can follow along. And this hat pattern is just increased in multiples of 4 or decreased in multiples of 4, so you can really make any size hat following this pattern. So I've worked all the way around, and I'm going to have you slip stitch in the back loop only to join. And what we'll do, make sure that's really tight, and then we're going to drop off B and we're going to pick back up A. And this is what we'll do throughout, and this join will be, as long as you keep those tails really tight, that chain 1 really tight, you're going to have a really seamless looking join here. So now round 3 is when we're going to start working those drop downs to create our pattern. So our first 2 stitches are going to be single crochets in the back loop only. So that same stitch we slip stitched into, so 1, 2, and then we're going to do a drop down 2 rows below. So here's the next stitch. We go below it to that front loop that should be available to work into. And we work our drop down. Now we'll work 3 in the back loop only. 1, 2, 3, and then another drop down. As I'm getting this established, I like to just count across 1, 2, 3. No, this is going to be the one I drop down into. Okay. And then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and drop down. Okay, so we're just repeating this now all the way around. So now we're coming around. We should be ending with the single crochet in the back loop only, and you can always go to the end to see, or just take a look at that 4th stitch for your repeat. We'll slip stitch in the back loop. We're going to drop off color A. We're going to pick up B, and we're going to tighten up those tails. Okay, and now let's take a look at round 4. So round 4 starts off with a drop down, and then we have 3 singles and a drop down. So we're starting off, it might be squishy to get into that first loop. And then we're doing 3 singles in the back loop only. And I know the second one is going above this. I always like to just take a look at the chart, make sure I'm placing my stitches in the right place. 1, 2, 3, and that's going to really help you not get off track. Always kind of take a peek at where those drop downs are being placed, single crochets are being placed. So as you can see here, this one is going in the center of these 3. So if we look at the hat, there's those 3, we're doing that drop down in the center. This is where people will get messed up the most with these patterns, is if you just get 1 stitch off, it's going to mess up the pattern. So you just want to really look at the chart, make sure you're placing these stitches in the right position. Once you get used to working these types of patterns, it's going to come easier to you to see. So we're doing 3 and a drop down. It's a really easy pattern to memorize. It's only 4 stitches we're repeating around, so it's pretty simple. So I'm going to continue working around. Okay, so once you get all the way around, you should be ending with the 3 single crochets in the back loop only. And then we'll be changing over again. And when we change color, we're always slip stitching into the back loop of the stitch. Now don't ever confuse that chain 1 there as a stitch. That's just the chain. Here's that first drop down double. There is the back loop of the stitch. Pull that tail tight, drop off B, pick up A. Okay, pull it through, give that a tug, and chain 1. And then you're set up for round 5. Now I'm not going to keep working through every round with you. These mosaic charts tend to be a little tedious to work through, but if you go to the link in my description box, you can get the PDF with all of your sizes, or if you subscribe to the blog, I'll also put this chart here that you can view for free. Now you do need to subscribe in order to view that. I've had a lot of my mosaic charts being stolen and published all sorts of places, so this will just help protect my work. But you could also support me with the pattern purchase and purchase the beautifully designed PDF. So let's take a look at round 5, and then I'll leave you to that on your own. So our first will be a single crochet in the back loop. Then we're going to do a drop down, single crochet in the back loop, and a drop down. Okay, and then a single crochet in the back loop, drop down, single crochet in the back loop, and a drop down, and we're just repeating that all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to pop up some directions on how many rounds you need to complete for this size hat that we're working on, and I'm going to continue to work mine off camera, and then I'm going to meet you up to show you how to finish off the hat. Okay, so I've been working away on my stitch pattern, and I'm going to show you what I have done. So I worked rows 1 through 14, then I repeated row 3 through 14 again, and then I worked 3 up to 8, and that's about the length that I want. Now this is easily modified to really whatever length you want. So I've worked about 7 inches, but you could make it longer if you want the hat slouchier, or if you want it more tight fitting to the head, you could reduce these rounds. So really, it's up to you what you want with that. Now I'm also going to measure across, and it's about 9 inches. So finished size is going to be about 18. But you have to remember that hats stretch quite a bit, so you're wanting a good amount of negative ease on a hat so that it doesn't stretch out too much. You want it to continue fitting your head nicely. So we're going to fold this band up. We're going to get this cinched in to finish the hat off. Okay, so let's grab our larger hook, and I'm going to show you how to finish it off. Okay, so you can work this part of the hat with either A or B. It really does not make a difference. So whatever you decide, I have some of both left. So I'm just going to stick with my color B, and I'm going to slip stitch right through the full stitch to join. And chain 1. I'm going to single crochet in the first 2 stitches and then I'm going to do a decrease across the next two. So we'll go through the stitch, pulling up a loop, go right into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Single crochet in the next 2, and then a single crochet 2 together. And we're just repeating this all the way around. Now you should be finishing with the decrease. Slip stitch in the first single crochet to join, chain 1, and we're going to do another decrease round just to get this cinched in a little bit more at the top. So this time we'll work a single crochet in the first stitch and then decrease across the next 2. 1 and then a decrease. Okay, let's slip stitch to join in the first single crochet, and we'll fasten off with a long tail. And now we're just going to close the hat in. Close it up. So take your yarn needle, and now what we're going to do is just weave through every other stitch around the hat. And we're just going to pull the hat closed, like so. And then what you want to do to really help to close this hole in, we need to continue weaving around the hat. So weaving your yarn around this hole. And as you do that, you will notice the top will start to cinch in. So just keep weaving it until you can get that hole closed up. It'll be easier on the smaller sizes. Once you get it cinched, then just weave back in the opposite direction. Now what you want to do is just flip your hat inside out, and any of your tails that need to still get woven in, you can go ahead and do that now. So now to finish off the hat, I like to add a pom-pom. This of course is optional, but I use these pom-poms that have the snaps, so they're really easy to attach. You're just going to take the snap section that comes. I will link them. I get mine from Amazon. I will link them in the description box. So you just take the snap and you sew it to the top of the hat. So I'm just going to grab some of my yarn and a yarn needle. You just need to make sure that you have one that's small enough to fit through the holes. Okay, and then we will just go through. Mine just fits. Some of the pom-poms you can get as well buttons, and they have a little elastic band that attaches. Okay, once you get around, I just like to give it a good knot at this point. And you can weave those tails. And you just want to take your pom-pom. I like to push all the fur out of the way. And sometimes they take a little bit to get snapped on. You want to blow dry your pom-poms, and that will give them nice fluff. So I like to find that seam, keep the seam to the back of the hat. And to finish it off, I like to add a personalized tag. So I have tags that I snap on, plus I got these ones that you can just sew onto the front. I just like to use some embroidery thread. I just match up my colors. I just pick this thread up from the dollar store. And my tags are from brickbubble.ca, and I will link her website in the description box as well. I like to start in a corner, and you want to leave a tail here. And then you just want to go back and forth, just weaving. Just make sure that you're sewing it on straight. This is a little fiddly, so I'll continue to sew mine around off camera. And then I'll meet you up again. Okay, so I took the starting tail and pushed it through, so both of my tails now are on this side, and I am just going to knot this to finish it off. And then you can just weave these tails or trim them. Just make sure it's good and secure. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and make sure to tap the bell so you stay updated on all my new videos and tutorials. Thanks so much, guys. Have an awesome day.